So today on Dylan Talks Tone, I go on and on and on and I talk about P90s all the time, and I love P90s, and I think we make the best P90s in the world. I really do. I am very proud of them. The clarity on the low end, or on the high end, the kind of crispness on the low end that gives you like note definition no matter how much gain you put to them. They never get muddy, never even muddy in the neck position, even though we don't have a neck position on this guitar. Phenomenal stuff. I am very, very proud of them. So what I figured I would do is take you step by step through how we make them here at Dylan Talks Tone. I'm not going to give too many trade secrets away, but I will at least share with you how we get that kind of properly good late 50s vintage sound out of our P90s, and I think you're going to really dig it. We don't have sponsors for our videos, so I guess we'll just say this video is sponsored by Dylan Talks Tone, because that's where you go to get these pickups. Check out in the description below the link, dylantalkstone.com. Maybe we'll put it on the screen right here as well. One other thing I want to mention too is one of my favorite companies in the world is Runway Audio out of Nashville, Tennessee. They make the best guitar cables in the world, in my opinion. And this is not sponsored by them, but they did send me a new cable. They've got a new one. It's the Runway Audio Silent. So if we turn up the guitar, so the guitar is now on, and we pull this out, it makes no clicking noise. And then if we put it back in, it makes no clicky noise. And it's fantastic. So, just a live demo of that thing, and you can throw it on the ground, see, and it doesn't do that kind of thing. The guitar is hot, the signal is hot, so there you go. It works really, really well. They're super durable, lifetime warranty, all that kind of stuff out of Nashville, Tennessee. So check them out. I also want to thank my Patreon supporters and my YouTube member supporters. Everybody uses super chats in the live videos and super thanks on the not live videos. It's like a super chat for not live videos. You are what keeps the channel going, because without you, we wouldn't be able to review products or buy guitars or any of that kind of stuff. So thank you so much. All right, well, let's go start with the very first components that we start with when we make a P90. All right, so I guess the question is, how handmade are our pickups? So we're going to start with the absolute first components of said pickups. These are bobbins that the wire goes on, and they are just a injection molded kind of plastic piece that has the correct dimensions for the vintage style winds. And the first thing we need to do is take eyelets, these little tiny eyelets here, and we need to put them into the bobbins. So literally we do this by hand. They make a press for this, but I don't like it, so I just do it by hand. We got to make 25 of these pickups in the next 4 or 5 days, so this is going to be a bit of an operation. All right, so there you go. So we press the bobbin eyelets in. We got to do that for all of the pickups, the P90 pickups that we make. So then I guess the next thing to do would be get this thing on the winding machine. All right, so for those of you that are not aware, we use Mojo Tone winding machines, and this is it. So we set our wind count on here, and as we run the machine, I won't get into the directions. We have a video on how you use the machine, but once the wind count is programmed in, we have our bobbin will be sitting here, and I'll show you that in a minute. And we run the wire through here, and literally everything is done totally by hand. And then once the winding is complete, then it will stop by itself. So let's get that far. So now I'm going to show you, without showing you, this is the wire that we use. For those of you that have never been to one of our workshops before, this is literally how easy it is to break. All right, so we're going to take this little bitty wire, and we are going to thread it through this hole. And we'll do it about 3 or 4 times. Center it up. All right, so now it's on the machine and it's ready to go. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is just get the machine programmed to the right number of winds. I only have to do this once because when we're going to do 25 of them, it's always set the right way and it just recalls it, so it's no big deal. We get to winding. Boom. The winding is done. Let's get it off here. Manipulating very tiny coil wire is probably the most tedious part of the entire thing. Now we should say, while we're making these, and any pickup really that we wind here, it's all done on this machine. Well, I've got 3 of these machines, but it's all done on this machine. So you have to adjust the traverse, which is how far the wire goes back and forth, so that you don't balloon out the bobbin too much, and fill it properly. And then the other thing is all the tension of the wire that goes onto the pickup is done with my hand right here. So there's no aids to it or anything. It's all done by hand. That's why you would say hand wound. Now, obviously, the motor is turning. We could put it on a fishing reel and it would take forever, but the motor is obviously turning and it stops when you program it to. But all of the tension and everything, you saw how easy the wire was to break, is the key. Now, on top of course, on top of the materials, which we kind of don't talk about our materials, we don't talk about our vendors, we don't talk about that kind of stuff on YouTube. But the key here is, and we've taught, 50 people how to wind pickups before, through our various workshops and stuff with Texas Toast and whatnot. But the key is, I think I can get pretty much everybody to the point where they can wind a pickup. The key is that we're going to make 25 of these over the next couple of days, and they've all got to be the same. Consistency between the products is more difficult because understanding the tension, learning all of that, as well as variables between rolls and all that kind of stuff to keep the product consistent over, we've made, 10,000 pickups, I think now. So over that 10,000 pickups, of course, all kinds, but we need to make sure that they're consistent. So that's what we do. But anyway, here's a finished bobbin. All right, so next we need to be able to hook the pickup to the guitar. So we need to solder leads to this. Now this can be tricky because we are soldering into plastic. So let's go ahead and bend our lead wires over. I like to pull one back. I'll tell you why in a few minutes. Now, some people will use like that vintage braided wire. We do use that on some stuff, but I don't like to use it on P90s because of soldering into plastic. So we'll put that in there. I'll give you a little trick as we do this. So the wire that we use, when we heat it up with the soldering iron, the insulation melts off. There are certain types of wires that don't. So you have to scrape it off with a razor blade. So that's why I don't use it, because it's not production friendly. And we can get just as good a tone out of this wire because of the dimensions and the blah, blah, blah science behind it. But if you leave your soldering iron too long on this, these eyelets will actually melt and fall through the bobbin and ruin the bobbin that you just wound. So we got to be real careful with that. So what I typically do is I will take the wire in my hand and I will actually melt some of the insulation off the wire like this. This has to be done on every pickup. You gotta be real careful and real quick with your soldering, because if you don't, you will melt the bobbin. Typically I have an exhaust fan on, but for the videos we don't, because you wouldn't be able to hear me. So then let's go ahead and take, at this point I take the meter and double check and make sure that we have good continuity, and we do. So we have a good coil and we have wires that are now hooked to the pickup. So the next thing we need to do is put our pole piece screws in. Chris Fesker at Texas Toast Guitars made me this cool little block that works awesome for assembling P90s and humbuckers. Sorry if that shakes the table a little bit. Camera's on the table. All right, flip it over. And the next thing we need to do is put our keeper bar on there. And this is definitely going to shake the table because we have to kind of push this on. So sorry. All right, so there's the keeper bar on. Now the next thing we need to do is put our magnets on the pickup. The problem is that the magnets are not magnetized. So let's go over to the other cool machine that we have and let's magnetize these magnets. All right, so this dude is a big coil. There's a big transformer in here. So this thing weighs like 45 pounds. It's really, really heavy. It's got 13 amps, 110 volts coming through it, and there's a big transformer in here. So what we're gonna do is, see, nothing's anything, but it's got a momentary switch. So we put the magnet between here and we hit the button. Now, that magnet is magnetized. In 1 second. And they are reliably magnetized to the rate that I need them to be magnetized to. So now we go ahead and just place the magnets on the pickup. Now here's an interesting thing about P90s. Both the poles of the pickup need to go towards the center. On a humbucker style magnet, the side, the flat side, is not what is magnetized. It's actually the thin side. So if we put this on here, we'll see how it's white? You flip it over, now it's black. So black is south, white is up. So on this particular pickup, we want south towards the middle on both sides. Like so. And that's how that'll lay in there. Then what we'll do, we'll route our wires the way we want them, like so. Being careful not to break them out of the bobbin because I have done that before. And then put our base plate, screw our base plate on. So then our base plate goes on like so. Get the 2 retainer screws for the base plate. So now the base plate is screwed on, and then the next thing we need to do is solder our ground to the base plate. Again, gotta have a really good soldering iron for this, and don't stay on it too long, because again, we don't want to melt the wire out of there. Give these a twist. So now what we have here is a completed P90, but it's actually not done yet. We still need to wax pot it. Now you may notice that what we made here is a soap bar P90, right? So once you put the cover on, now you have a soap bar P90, which we will not do until we wax pot, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So anyway, there it is, soap bar P90. You notice that in the intro we played the Junior. It has a dog ear P90. So what is the difference between the two? Literally the difference between the two is the base plate and how it mounts to the guitar. So the guts of it, the magnet, the bobbin, the wire, everything else, this whole piece, all the pieces could be screwed instead of to the soap bar base plate to the dog ear base plate. So the guts, the sound, the electronics of the pickup are all exactly the same, at least when you get them from us. The only thing different would be the base plate. This base plate, I mean, I could like literally push this on here and have two base plates on there, and now it would be a dog ear, right? So that's the only difference between the two. They are exactly the same pickup. All right, well, let's go ahead and get this wax potted, and then I'll show you a couple other little things we do. So once the wax is on, slide the cover on, and we have almost a complete pickup. And then the next thing I do is just check to make sure that it still works, because, you know, handling it and stuff, we want to check it along every step of the way until it gets to this point, and then it's done. So there you go, little glimpse into one of the pickups that we make. This is probably my favorite one. Well, it is my favorite one. It's my favorite one to play, it's my favorite one to make, and it's my favorite one to have you buy, because I know that you will be happy with these when you buy them. So anyway, there you go. Dylan Talks Tone, P90s, explain the dog ear as well as the soap bar. And yeah, there will be a link to them below. I hope you enjoyed this little sneak inside, and maybe we'll do another model of what we do here at Dylan Talks Tone. Let me know what that should be. And please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the like button. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. We're almost there. 60% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed, so do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. If you think you're subscribed, hit it again, because YouTube does that for some reason, like unsubscribes people. So anyway, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you on the next video.